everybody. If it's correctly, I'm streaming, but let me check if this is indeed correct. 1 second. Okay. I only have sound on one side here. 1 second, YouTube. So I'm checking on the right side, your channel. If I'm indeed streaming, yes, I'm live. So, sorry, a bit later, I was abstracted, a bit of playing around, and then suddenly you lost track. So let's shut down now here the video from the, of course, we are very close to the holiday season, Christmas, and, you know, the jump into 2020. And we released today the update for B.I.T and Punch-2. So that's good news. People can download the B.I.T. So if you own B.I.T, go to the download page and then open the download below the B.I.T registration. Run this, and then you have, 1 second. You have B.I.T then, if you run this installer, the new presets inside of it, and of course also the new filter types. Okay, I have only on one side my voice, is that correct? Or do you guys have... Okay, that's strange. So maybe something went wrong in the mixer. No, that's also okay. Could be me. Give me 1 second. I need to check here the... one channel is not working, it seems. Let's see if this works better. Yeah, it seems that my voice is only on one channel. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to check my audio card. Maybe the plug is not correctly done. Okay, it was my headphone. Okay, so talking about Punch-2, we have some new presets from Jambal, but we also did some other things which are now inside of it. And one thing I like you to show is I made a image available, so you can download this image from the download page. There you can see where the new presets of Punch-2 are located. So let's see again. Here it is. This is the image. Let's make it a bit bigger, and you see in the oh, does copy it. Okay. Here we can see it only. Very strange how this image shows and pops up here. Seems to be double. But anyhow, you can see in the bank folder Jamal 2, there are new presets and they are displayed in this image. So it's in the download page also from Punch-2, where you can download this latest version of Punch-2. And if you own Explorer 6, the only thing you need to do is maybe just download the Explorer 6 again, or go down more in the download page of Explorer 6 and download the single installer from Punch-2 and B.I.T to have these new presets and these new features. But in Punch-2 we did a new thing, because if you look here in 05 Jamal 2, you see the Snooze 125 is the first preset which is new. And when I go now into Punch-2, this is a new feature which we add also in the other products. If you go to the manager, you go to the kit preset manager, you can select here order by date. And this means that the youngest presets are in top. So when I go here to the left, you see here are the new presets. And yeah, there's a little bug still on my system, which is strange. The the slider jumps to the right. I don't know why. But here you see one of the new presets, and it's I shall play a few. Let's adapt the tempo here a bit. 125 beats per minute. One of the new presets from Jamal. Okay, wanna go to the next preset and then I'll check the chat room. This is another preset, other beats per minute, 135. Let's see what is. So this is a new feature. This way you can easily locate then the new presets. Okay, this was so Scarface. Oh, here it jumps back again to the right corner. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Order by date, Scarface 140. Tempo is a bit too high. This one 110 beats per minute. Let's see how we have that one. Using the string model. By the way, in the upper keyboard you also play a tune. This first pad, which is down here, you see my keyboard, is also in the upper range. That's a copy of pad 1 is in the upper range of the keyboard, so in the upper 5 corner. Then okay, now of course I need to go to the manager. Some other ones, 90 beats per minute, it's pretty slow. So this is a way, so order by date, to have the last presets which are added. So we're gonna add this also to our future update of the other products we have, so that if we have new presets, you can easily point them out, find them. And of course we normally do a little image. So in this case you see this is from Punch-2, and of course the bank. The new bank is Jamal 3, which are all new sounds, because this is a new bank. What we do, each bank is a folder full of presets, but we keep the max 128. You can put in more presets in one folder, but to keep a bit of overview, I keep them on 128 presets in one bank folder, which makes it, if you like to use MIDI program change, that also works. So there's another one which is, these are all new in bank. So let's play them all, 120 beats per minute. Nice distorted. And then we have sometimes Jamal also has a modulation wheel. This one 110. So I adapt the speed of the host of the music program to the value which shows in the preset. This mainly uses slices, I can see. So no other sounds, it's mainly slices. It's also a way of using punch, only using slices. And this one is 100 beats per minute. I go down a bit. This one doesn't use slices, only use the built-in sounds. I can see it because no slices used. So these are all new presets in the latest version of Punch. What we did is, if you go here in this section where you can pick different pads, also click edit, here, and then you edit it, you see that it has the circle around, and if you press solo, you see all the other pads fade out. So the solo is a bit better in the advanced screen, or if you press mute, that it fades out here so that you see which are muted. So it's more clear now which are inactive. that's also improved. We had a few other little things we did to it. The next step for Punch-2 will be that it will be Anchor-S compatible, so that needs still some work. And we work on a system where the patterns can be sequenced, just like Subliime Bass 2, where you can say, okay, first play this, then that, and just like a real drum computer, a sequence mode. So, okay, let's play a few more, then I go to the chat room again. This one is also 100. Let's go down a bit here, tempo. Always good stuff with Jamal. Okay, so somebody has a question. Yes, Rob, in a Dutch, that is no problem. How do you create sounds for B.I.T? No, it's no hardware happening. So if you would go to let's say our last release, B.I.T, which is a virtual synthesizer. I mean, maybe you know a Nord lead or an Access Virus or what we had different, the latest Waldorf synthesizers. They are based on DSP. So there's a DSP chip, analog processing chip inside of it, which codes digitally a synthesizer. While the same happens with a virtual instrument with B.I.T. So nothing is sampled. It's all created by using DSP codes. So the oscillator is really generated as an oscillator, only not with a analog device, but now with a very sophisticated digital code. So the sounds is really coming from out this machine. Essentially, your CPU is calculating it. So if you have this sound here, this sound makes that oscillator 1 modulates oscillator 2, and then you get this change in the sound. So if you would have to sample this sound, that would take again gigabytes. And if you create this sound inside the synthesizer, it's simply a few bytes, because it's the way all the parameters are laid out. So the cutoff frequency has this setting and this has that, and these are then a preset. But the sound is totally generated inside the synthesizer. So when I go to the manager, for instance, I go to a pad sound, simply one of the new so here's a pad sound. It's totally generated by this synthesizer. It's the case that you can control it by a keyboard, by MIDI controls. There are several ways. This is a Native Instruments complete control. So what I also could do is then add a track instrument, and then instead of selecting bit directly, I also could say, okay, use the complete control. Let me see where it is. Here it is. And then here I can select also in the list of the Anchor-S instruments, I can select B.I.T. Then you have the option here, because then you need to select the presets inside here. So you go to Synth Bank 1, you double click, and then you see it's also inside the complete control. And this means that you can use these dials here to change the instrument. So here I can use the dial, for instance, to go to a different waveform. Or second page for a different filter of a filter. You see the dial, you see it moving here, and this layout can also be displayed here. You see, there it is. So this is a combination of the keyboard also controlling this virtual synthesizer. And this, with this Anchor-S system, you need to use, of course, then the presets which are in the in this system, in this complete control. So if I double click here, so I have an audition, clavinet. Or here you see, it does an audition, and if I like the sound, I can double click and then it loads it in. So that's an option if you have the complete control keyboard from Native Instruments, or for instance the machine. Most of our instruments are NKS compatible, so then you can use this system also. And the advantage is that if you search for a particular sound, you can search then outside, let's say, not only in B.I.T, but the whole library, which is NKS. So if you say, okay, I'm looking for bass, and you click on bass, then for instance B.I.T will pop up, Submove Bass 2, but also Massive or any other synthesizer which is NKS compatible. So that's the advantage of this complete control, is that you can search through all the library which is inside your computer. While controlling B.I.T with external controllers, you still can do, even if you don't have NKS, but if you have a MIDI keyboard, and most of them have some dials, so you still can say, okay, here the cutoff frequency, it moves, so that's latched to MIDI. So I could say clear MIDI, then nothing responds, but I could say here, okay, go with the mouse over this dial, you said latch to MIDI, you turn this dial, and then you have this on your own keyboard. So this doesn't matter if you have a older EMU keyboard, or you have a Nectar or an Innovation keyboard which send out controllers. You can make your own layout and save this in this here to the computer. Save external controller setup, or load. I think here this is a Virus B setup, which I did, which is on the right side, but I could easily make now a setup for the complete control again, so that you don't have to start up the complete control, but that you use the controllers as a separate thing. So it's up to you. So so the new presets you also will find then in complete control, because we also uploaded then the NKS compatible version. So if you see here, we see all instruments, you pick B.I.T. And then we have these several banks, and one of the new banks is this bank from, which I hardly could pronounce. Oh no, I need to, yeah, that's what you need to do, by the way. You go here, because if there are new presets, you need to go to Edit Preferences and make it scan it. So now I click here and I go to and rescan, and then the new presets will pop up, because we added now over 170 new presets. One of the new bank is this, which will pop up now. Here it is, Sangunia presets project. I cannot pronounce it. Sangunia. Okay, some very cool sounds. So here you can audition them by clicking them. And if you like the sound from the start, you say, okay, I load it. So this is a lead sound. Okay, so you guess it's all clear, Miss Stone Games, I think it is. Okay, perfect. So if you are using this complete control system or Machine 2, stick to the presets here, because if you go then up here again, that's our own system, and then yeah, you mess up things a bit, because this is used outside the complete control system. So the best is then to pick a B.I.T here, and then pick one of the presets here, and you can audition them. That's a very nice system, is that if you say, okay, I have here some percussion sounds, and you can hear them, and they are essentially very good in B.I.T. So okay, I'm clicking back now. Let's go back now to B.I.T. I wanted to show you, because I give them a star, to show you a few of these new presets. So from this Sangunia project, Some very nice presets. Let me play. Yeah, it's optimistic or positive. Okay. Aha. Oh yeah, eLife. Yeah, you were on eLife. That's cool. Yes. So this is one of the new presets, and this one uses the aftertouch for adding phaser, delay, and a bit of main volume. Yeah, I need to go back on adding more tracks for my live performance. I have about 1 hour now, but it needs to be longer, because next time, if everything goes well, I will play live again also on another event. So, okay, so let's go to the Moog bass style bass, and this is very nice. Nice effect sound. Clavinet. That we had of course last week we had this Koto, which is very realistic. It's amazing. So I should play more on the black to have the other, how we call it again, pentatonic. I think it's pretty cool for an analog model synthesizer, but it's because of the comp filter which is inside of it. Yeah, this is yeah, then we have of course magnetic fields with the Jean-Michel Jarre type of sound. Oh, this one is even better, I think. This is a sequence sound, but it uses the unison major 6 and then detunes each step. So you got a You see the sequence running. So you can do some very creative stuff using the sequencer and the unison, which plays a chord instead of doing the traditional unison thing. And by spread, you make it also left-right. And of course the cool thing is that essentially everything is in front. There's one thing here which you can click, it's the advanced panel for each oscillator. But yeah, if you know a bit of subtractive, it's nice playing around with it. Well, this uses split oscillators, so the second oscillator has the noise. Here it is, the noise. High pass filter, yeah, you can change that. So it's of course important that you filter around yourself also. So here's the velocity response, and of course here the sequencer has velocity setting. And maybe you think, okay, the noise should be shorter. Hey, that's possible, because we have here the option, although the modulation matrix is now totally full, I could say, okay, I use the noise in the oscillator. Here we go. Here's the noise. And then I go to the advanced panel and I give the noise a volume envelope. I'll make it shorter now, hear that? It's nice sounds, it's a nice variation. So I made the noise, instead of the noise from this part, I took the noise from oscillator 2, which goes into filter 2 because it's a split oscillator. And I made it a bit shorter, simply by using the envelope which is built in oscillator 2. I open the amount, so now the envelope controls the volume of oscillator 2. Sustain is 0, and decay makes it shorter, or maybe. So it's really more like a modular synthesizer which has 2 filters. So this is what you can do with the filter split mode. So yeah, he has a lot of things going on. I think if I just volume changes, yeah, quite some stuff going on. So it's fun also if you have an existing preset. It's also a starting point. New Berlin, I think it's also split. So here you see filter 2. It's this one, and filter 1 is using oscillator 1. But to the left pan, and oscillator 2 is a bit to the right pan and has a different filter type. Yeah, okay, so I'm just playing a few of these presets from this new bank by an artist. So 90 presets are inside of it in this new bank. Some other ones are in the synth. Yeah, not that. I think it has some brass sound. It's the new filter types. These what I discussed last week. Yeah, there was a video on YouTube about E-Live, but it was recorded by the microphone. It sounded not very well, but you saw a bit of my live playing. Next year, it's at the end of the next year, I will be in Bochum, in the planetarium, or how it's called in English. So it's a nice thing. But that's at the end of next year, so that's gonna take a while. And maybe another event will pop up where I play live some electronic music. And of course, I use only live. I pretty use a lot of B.I.T. You see Rob Live, here are some patches, not all of them. A bass I used. No. Let's see if there's more. This sound I use, I can recall it, yes. This is from noise sound. It's a bass sound. Of course, this one doesn't have a. It's only the bass. Very analog sounding sequence sound, which is of course great for electronic music. So so I collect the presets in my own folder, Rob Live. If we would go, for instance, to Predator 2. Here we also have a bank, which should be Rob. And I'm looking for, because I made a variation on one synth sounds which I used. Oh, it's the Berlin Voice 2. The first was Berlin Voice, this one. And I made a variation on it which has a bit less of this voice, this pitch glide. So this is the original version and this is voice 2. So the pitch glide, you can hear it. So you see here also I have a Rob folder, which you can do also yourself to make your own folder for your own personal presets. Sometimes it has also other things, but it has, for instance, some other. And it has this FX jar, which Gert Bruins asked me once, I think. Okay, I'm checking here the live stream. Yeah, this is one of the older patches. And you also can see now the difference with Predator 2. It has far more controls. Predator 2 goes far deeper in some areas. But of course, each, to its own, what I say. So Predator 2 has a different focus, although it can do very good some analog sounds as well. But it takes a bit more work if you... and sometimes it's a bit easier if the synthesizer has not too much controls, so that you have a bit faster the results you seek. But of course, the sound which I just played here in Predator 2 in this synth bank. Okay, go up. This these type of sounds are not possible with B.I.T, because this is wavetable. This is a whole different synthesis type compared to traditional subtractive analog. Of course, there was this old PPG or the Microwave 1, but that was not fully analog, it had digital oscillators, but analog filters. So I think B.I.T, you can compare a bit more of the combination of virtual analog and also combine with hybrid, so with digital waveforms. So that's the difference in terms of concept, and also, of course, this reflects also back in the type of sounds. So with B.I.T, I make different sounds than if I'm playing with Go 2 or with B.I.T. So each has its own focus, and that's also the fun part. Yeah, I still have the, you can see it here. I need to show it here, of course. The old Virus B, and I use it not for the sound anymore that much. I use it mainly for controlling the synthesizer because it has a nice layout. So you have the filter with a label, you have the envelopes. So if you see here, you see amplifier, attack decay or sustain and release, the filter, and I connect this then to the computer, and I can use the dials simply, for instance, to control B.I.T. It's not connected now, unfortunately. Otherwise, I could show you guys how I do this. Maybe something for the next live stream. Overload. Yeah, the oscillator in itself don't have an overload. So if I go here, max up, it's always stays in the nice range. When you go up here with the volume, that's another difference, because here you have the distortion of the amplifier. Then you get in a risky part in overloading the channels. So if there would be an overload thing, we should add it here. And of course we have this raw kick, and people like the overloading. Therefore we have this warning in raw kick that the sounds are very loud, because the producers who made these presets for raw kick, they use this clipping inside the host or inside the plugin for the for a particular sound. So that's why we add this warning that there could be some very harsh sounds. And of course, it's also the case if a sound is very MIDI and very mid-toned, it sounds for your ears louder than, for instance, if you have the same volume with a bass. That's how the human ears work. So if I go here to the Papen sequencer sounds, zero latency, I have a few distortion sounds. So this is without distortion. And maybe people think why we added distortion in the amplifier section. That's simply because it's after the filter. There's much more changing in the spectrum, so that makes it more a better result. And if you're doing it in an oscillator, the only result, if you would have, for instance, a saw and you would really add a lot of distortion, you get a square. So it's not that exciting. It's more exciting if you place the distortion after the filter on the amp part, and sometimes we have it also ahead of the filter, which is also interesting, which we use, for instance, in B.I.T, yes, and I believe also in Go 2. So okay, one of the new presets. Let's go synth leads. I have a nice synth leads I like this one. This leads to Moogie, which is very close to the original Mini Moog. I played it also last week. Of course, we will use some of the technology we use in B.I.T also on a later point in Predator. So in Predator, because Predator is also very good for virtual analog sounds, but B.I.T is a bit more focused, and because of the layout, you do simply different stuff, and sometimes you discover stuff you think, oh, I did not know that was possible with such a machine, just like this harmonic move pad, which uses the FM modulation, which you can do, or phase modulation, which you can do in B.I.T. That was the wrong one. You almost would think this is Blade, for instance, or Predator 2, but this uses the oscillator 2 and it's modulated by oscillator 1. So if I put oscillator 1 off, it's not modulated anymore. It's a simple sine waveform, but now the upper harmonics are generated by using the phase modulation. You also see that here in the waveform. So even with B.I.T, sometimes sounds appear which you don't expect. This one, my son makes hardcore dance, and he used this one, or this one, this type of sound, which is noise modulating the oscillator. It sounds like a squeak. And of course, yeah, because of the distortion which you can use, it makes some dirty sound. Make some dirty sounds. So B.I.T is very it's very compact, and of course it's moving you always in a certain direction, and there's much more freedom in Predator 2 and, for instance, Bluetooth. But you do different things. You have this XY pad which you can use if you the arpeggiator has a bit more. So let me see if I can show you a few presets. Okay, there are many presets on board. Predator 2 has over 6,000, which is a lot, but of course it depends on your music style. So if you go down, you have all the Predator 1 presets, for instance, with dubstep material. All style wobbles. So, okay, trance and psytrance. Just picking one. There's so many presets. If you have this one with a beat, you see. So just in the old original Predator bank is this. So there's always something good. Classic synths are in there. So also that kind of stuff with Predator is a versatile. I think it's really a kind of super synthesizer from that perspective. But yeah, of course, each to its own taste. I love to use all kind of things. Some typical sounds which are this wavetable thing. You have the XY. And of course, Predator still is user-friendly because everything is of most important things are in front. So the top section, the 3 oscillators, the filters, the filter LFO, the play mode, the FX, and so it has a lot to offer. It's a very powerful synthesizer, and of course it reflects in the presets you can hear. And of course, Bluetooth is a whole different story again, because Bluetooth uses FM synthesis together with built-in samples, wave sequencing. Yeah, it's but I think that's the cool thing about the Explorer 6 bundle. Now we have Explorer 6, is that it's very versatile. Yeah, each has its own focus. I mean, Predator 2 is again different than Go 2 or B.I.T. And of course, we have sub-boom bass, very popular for basses, top basses, and also some different sounds. Okay. Yeah, it's a monster, but yeah, I mean, FM synthesis is pretty complex. It's not easy, and if I would open Bluetooth now, so let's see, add instruments, and sometimes it's not a problem. Then you simply use it as a preset machine because it has many great presets, and sometimes you play around in the synthesizer, you open an instance, and it's a starting point. So if for Bluetooth, simply go to the bank manager and say, okay, well, let's say why not look for a nice pad, and you suddenly find a nice pad. Or so there are real strings combined with synth strings. This is one of my favorites. Uses essentially a bit of a pulse width modulation oscillator, and the other ones are real strings. So here you see strings is oscillator E. The rest is more traditional subtractive analog pad combined with real strings. With Bluetooth, because FM synthesis is a bit more difficult to control. But for instance, with Bluetooth, we place the main envelope, which is the volume envelope, always visible. So if you say, I want to make this one a bit more spacey, and then you open the attack and a bit longer release to make it really a So that's the reason why we have in Bluetooth this envelope here, because it makes so much difference. If I close this attack, so down here, you can see it, the full volume, then you get this. So from a classic, more that's a bit Bach. So how different if you simply change a bit the attack and the release. Yeah, the frequency modulation. Yeah, if I go here to the bank manager, you see some other pad sounds. Let's see. Which uses, not sure if there are. This uses a choir sound, who, and glass. It's nice, you get more the typical sounds, which are very hard with this. You really need to sample. Let's see, I think there should be somewhere. It's nice, this one, but uses the XY, and the XY is in vector synth mode, which means that it controls oscillator A, B, C, and D from Bluetooth, which is a metal sound, B is not active, and a Vox sound and a sinus waveform. So it's an insane synthesizer, but I mean, it's mainly for, I think for most people, they use it for using the presets, because if you start editing, you can easily lose track. For me, everything is clear, but I can understand that for some people, it's maybe a bit too much in terms of features it has. It's feature-wise, I think one of the essentially the top synthesizer we have in terms of feature, because yeah, you can do FM synthesis, combine that together with which I essentially show in the introduction bank. So if you go to introduction bank and you see one preset, which is a very good example. I need to check it where it is. By the way, I made a video inside the playlist of Bluetooth where you can watch. It talks about presets and banks with Bluetooth. And because this one works with the older bank system, which is the original system from the original VST, which was equal to what was in hardware. Hardware, you had a bank with 128 presets. Therefore, you have a program chain which goes max 128. And then you see here are the banks, and I click on an introduction bank, and one bank has 128 built-in presets. That's also the reason why you see sometimes a bank which has default. Well, this is a bank of 128 presets, but it's not full. So you see it has only partial, the sounds full. But I made a video which is inside the playlist of Bluetooth, because all the newer synths we released use the preset as a single file. So we moved away from the bank system. In the meantime, I did not find the preset. Here it is. Fifth element is originally, it was already. So this one displays pretty much how powerful Bluetooth is. You go here to the algorithm, and in the algorithm, you don't see it here, but it's the case that D and E modulate F. So oscillator E modulates 100% D, and F modulates goes 100% to F and F goes out. So this is the FM part. So if I change here a bit the volume of D of E, here really, this is really the FM part. So you can really easily mess up FM synthesis. Okay, click here on original to have it back again. So this, these three oscillators which I shut down did the FM part. Then we have in oscillator A and B, we see a square waveform and even pulse width modulation. This one does the, let's say, the subtractive part. So like an analog synthesizer, it goes into filter A, which is down here, which is the bandpass filter. So oscillator A and B essentially do a subtractive part. And what you heard now, if I play this preset, is the same preset which you know from the original Blue 1.9, which is the fifth element, which sounds like this. So combination of FM together with subtractive, and on top of that we added a range of samples in Bluetooth which are cool for synth sounds. And in this case, in this preset, when I shut down the other oscillators, it's a metal boil, which I did sample and tuned. So I found this one in Texel, an island in the north of Netherlands, and hit it, sampled it, tuned it, and it's now combined together with this pad sound and this FM part. So now you see the 6 oscillators are used. So this shows pretty much in a nutshell how powerful Bluetooth is. You combine subtractive with a sample together with FM synthesis in one synthesizer. So essentially what you hear now is already a kind of 3-layer sounds. Okay. Well, guys, so Bluetooth is again a whole different story compared to B.I.T or Predator 2. And that's the cool thing about, I think, our plugin. It's very versatile. And that's because I like all kind of things, like to try out a lot of things. And yeah, and it's fun, of course, if you have also fun with them. So resume B.I.T. If you have it, download the latest version. If you have, for instance, Explorer 5, you also can download the latest version of Explorer 5, because we added it also to Explorer 5, this B.I.T, or simply scroll down in the download page of Explorer 5 and go to the download of B.I.T, download it and run it, and then you also have these new presets. And of course with Explorer 6 it's the same story. If you already installed Explorer 6, you also can scroll down in the download page, look for B.I.T and Punch-2, download it and run these single installers. So it's not necessary to download fully the Explorer 6. If you are unsure, then simply download it. Now there is no option to put samples yourself in Bluetooth. This could be an idea for Blue 3, of course, in the future. But that will be in the future. I'm not sure when we are going to dive into Blue 2 again and do some other weird stuff inside of it. So make it again something, add something different to it. So I have plenty of ideas. John has plenty of ideas, and but it's maybe something for next year. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. You always can watch it back in the playlist called live streams. I'm not sure if I'm back next week. That will be the last one for this year. And otherwise, I will see you next year back on the live stream. And it's fun. And if you have any questions, yeah, drop them, write them down for next time. Maybe for a particular instrument you want to know something. Simply ask. Therefore, these live streams are, of course. So I would say have a good time in your holiday weeks. If you have a holiday, have a nice season, and see you soon again, guys.